rather. It'll be on the low end of the timetable.
Good. That's great.
Both for Wentz and for Quentin Nelson, right? And that Phillip Rivers is committed to coaching the high school team, and that if it's just for a game or two early in the season, he's probably not going to come out of retirement because the timetable wouldn't be right anyway, and he probably wouldn't do it for that. Okay? So that said, we're dealing with that. If the question is, unfortunately, like knock wood, this doesn't happen, but they're actually going to be out for a while, Wentz, and Quentin Nelson, the spectacular left guard for the Colts, then I would take Phillip Rivers over Nick Foles. And the reasons are pretty straightforward here. Phillip Rivers knows the situation in Indianapolis, especially you're missing your left tackle, you're missing your left guard for a while, especially when you need to make quick decisions. Give me the guy who already knows the offense. Give me the guy who's been there and successful. They had double-digit wins. Give me that guy in this situation, an Iron Man, by the way, who had a borderline Hall of Fame career, Phillip Rivers, and who clearly, the fact that he didn't rule it right out means clearly he's interested. It's not like they move on from Rivers because they feel like, well, he's no good. That's not the reason. Maybe you think you can get a guy with more upside at this stage in their career, and maybe he was about ready anyway. But if he's willing to come back into this situation, look, Marcus, the one thing about Nick Foles, and I'm a huge Nick Foles fan, he needs a pocket. He needs a pocket like more than anyone. If he has a pocket to step into, he can be effective. But he was running for his life in Chicago, which is why it looked like he wasn't any good. And he'll be running for his life at the moment in Indianapolis. Give me Phillip Rivers.
So bringing in Phillip Rivers would just kind of recreate what you looking at last year, right? For a guy that's been out of football, coaching high school football, the dude that has not done any football activities is the best fit for you. That's you selling that on First Take right now.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Nick Foles is the best fit. And it ain't about knowing the offense, because Nick Foles would know the offense too. And as much as people talk about Marcus Brady, we know damn well this Frank Reich's offense and his philosophy. It ain't no way that Carson Wentz is in Indianapolis first and foremost if it ain't for Frank Reich. And the last guy, coincidentally, the two guys that played above the level that we've seen them play at in the recent years was with Frank Reich, and that's Nick Foles and that's Carson Wentz. I get it from an emotional standpoint, what it would do to Carson's emotion. I'm not dealing in emotion. I'm one of the defense. I'm putting myself on this team. I'm putting myself in a situation where look, Max, to your point, we all know Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Nick Foles over the course of time. But Nick Foles was a Super Bowl MVP and had a phenomenal run under Frank Reich. And if you can get that, coincidentally, we may be on the long end, we may be talking 4 or 5 games before Carson Wentz gets back. I can't think of a better guy than the guy that showed you in 4 or 5 games that I could play at the level you need me to play in order for us to win a Super Bowl, let alone open up a season with a tough schedule, with a great understanding and a grasp of an offense, more athletic than Phillip Rivers. I don't care what anybody says. Nick Foles is more athletic than Phillip Rivers. So when you talk about a clean pocket, that's most quarterbacks. That's your guy that was supposed to fall off a cliff, Tom Brady. He need a clean pocket too. Every damn quarterback need a clean pocket.
And he had
but
one.
I would much rather prefer one that can sidestep or move to the right or left a little bit better than the other one when they both have a grasp and one has been out of football for the last 7 months doing nothing outside of working out and coaching high school football. Y'all emotions are getting to y'all with this situation. So it's a no-brainer for me. Now, if we talking a picture of go ahead. Yep.
Let me get this straight. Mm-hmm. You said you know that Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Nick Foles. You're also aware that he quarterbacked this team.
In totality.
He quarterbacked this team, Phillip Rivers did, to double-digit wins last season, right? So you're aware of those two things. You're also aware that they brought in Carson Wentz. You're also aware that the Wentz and Quentin Nelson injuries, it ain't going to go past 5. We're operating under the assumption it's not going to go past week 5 or 6 of the football season, right? Not even the halfway point. You're aware of all those things. You're also aware that they brought in Carson Wentz, and that clearly Coach has said this thing that I think has alluded to the thing that we're all thinking, like Carson Wentz got to get his head on straight. You got to build Carson Wentz back up. Emotionally, psychologically, mechanically, everything. He's got to be built back up. And what you want to do as a placeholder early in the seasons to win you enough games just to keep you competitive so that Wentz can then take the ball as the best version of himself and take you there, is bring in the guy who basically, even though we want to say it, wrecked him in Philadelphia. I mean, let's be honest. He took over the team late, won the Super Bowl MVP, took over the team like when they were 5-5, dead in the water the following year, when Wentz was kind of regressing, the team was flat. They caught fire, made it to the playoffs, beat the Bears at Soldier Field, came close to beating New Orleans at New Orleans in the playoffs, a hell of an attempted title defense. You want to bring that guy in to give Carson Wentz nightmares when he finally gets back, just to try to give yourself, you believe, I think mistakenly, a little bit better of a chance with an inferior quarterback to win a few early season games.
You're damn right, because you're betting on the same thing with Carson Wentz that you're betting on with Nick Foles. Am I missing something here, Charlie? Because you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, and I get it from the psychology part of it. That's where Max likes to live. But if we are predicating, all right, everybody grasp this and understand this. And then, Charlie, you tell me what you think, because I know you have an affinity for the Colts. If we are predicating Carson Wentz being rehabilitated, for the lack of better words, by Frank Reich and his career, why wouldn't we want to bring in the next guy that had the most success with Frank Reich? Why wouldn't we want to do that? Because we worried about Carson Wentz and how he's going to respond. We are trying to
I think
win
Carson Wentz is going to have a setback regardless of who they bring in.
Wentz will have a setback.
He's going to have a setback regardless of who they bring in. I mean, this is the last thing that he needed. He's trying to come off of. He's had a horrible career so far. Not even just a couple last year. A whole career it's been bad. So really, the last thing he needs.
And I don't.
And then psychologically, it affects him as well.
I don't understand this notion. I don't understand this notion that bringing Phillip Rivers in is less of a blow. If that's
he already retired.
If bringing Nick Foles in is going to get in Carson Wentz's head, what the hell you think bringing in Phillip Rivers going to do?
Marcus, hold on.
You just pointed out went to the playoffs and won a lot of games.
That's actually the safest pick because Wentz would understand. It wouldn't even have to be explained to him. This dude already retired, but while you're getting right physically, we want to bring in a guy who knows the offense and just won 11 games.
But also, wouldn't he understand if he wanted to bring in Nick Foles and just say, hey, this guy's still in the league? He's ready to go. He's in shape.
Think about what a mess that would be.
I don't know. It does make sense, but I also like the thought of Phillip Rivers as well.
Don't talk to Max because they are not operating as far as winning games and doing the thing that probably makes the most sense. They operating in emotion and what's going to mess with Carson Wentz. I'm operating in who gives you an opportunity to win games that's been focused on football for the last year. I get it that listen, again, Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Nick Foles. And everybody thinks that Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Nick Foles as well. Carson Wentz should think that as well. But we want to bring Phillip Rivers back like that's not going to affect him because Phillip Rivers decided to leave and retire, and bringing in Nick Foles is going to crush him because of what happened in
Chicago with a coach he also knew. Nick Foles in Chicago with a coach he also knew behind a bad offensive line was second to last QBR last year among starters. Is that right? Yeah. No, sorry. He was dead last, 32. 32 out of 32.
What was Carson Wentz? What was Carson Wentz last year in Philly with Doug Peterson, Max?
28. But you know who was 19? Phillip Rivers.
We all think.
You want the better quarterback or the worst one?
We all think he going to turn it around.
Who?
We all think he going to turn it around. We all think Carson Wentz going to turn it around, don't it?
I mean, it's
I'm optimistic about it, but let's focus on what we focused on. Nick Foles has been training for football. He's been in training camp. He's been throwing the football. You know that he's had success with Frank Reich. You know that he's a Super Bowl MVP under Frank Reich. And for 4 games potentially, you don't want that, but you bet it on Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I want the guy's not going to threaten Wentz, not create a quarter controversy, give you a better chance to win.
I think anyone you bring in is going to be a threat to Wentz. Because I truly do believe
whoever
they bring in, if they do perform, I think they will still have the starting job for at least a few more weeks thereafter.
Yes.
I mean,
Charlie?
if not the whole season, you never know. I mean, they want to win. That is the ultimate prerogative. But I have known that the Colts have said, like, in 2 weeks they'll have a lot more information. So once we reach that mark, we can see what they're really thinking as far as Wentz's recovery is going.
Here's the thing, too, Charlie. Here's the thing, too. Here's the thing, too. I hope it doesn't happen, but I couldn't imagine the stories of the Indianapolis Colts starting 0-4 and them decide not to make a move on the quarterback. And it's all going to go back to they didn't want to do this because it was going to hurt Carson Wentz's feelings. That's what it's going. That will be the story, and that'll be the narrative. Nick Foles is over there in Chicago, third string, and you had success with that guy. Man, listen, man, y'all play this emotional game. I'm thinking about the guy that has success and winning.
The first 5 games on their schedule: Seahawks, Rams, Titans, Dolphins, Ravens. Enough said. All right, something needs to happen. They need to make the smartest move they can. There. Okay, guys, let's keep it moving. Big Swagoo and Max are about to battle it out to determine the real America's team. Is it the team Stephen A. loves, the Steelers, or the one who makes him want to vomit, the Cowboys? Plus, former NFL wide receiver Harry Douglas